Yo, yeah. All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever the time of the day is. Okay, this is going to be the PS4 really get HDR support? Does the original PS4 really have HDR? Okay, as usual, I have to come and talk about this. Now, I notice a lot of the things I talk to you guys about go over people's heads. I don't know why this keeps happening. I told people there was going to be two PlayStation 4s getting released. Two PlayStation 4s got released. Nobody came, yo, you were right. I told people Quantum Break was going to get released for PC along with the Xbox One back before people knew that. And nobody came and said, yeah, you was right. You was right. How'd you know? I told people that it was also going to get released on Steam. Nobody came back and said, yeah, you was right. You was right. Now we're here. I told people yesterday about uncompromised being something that does not apply to PC and crosses over to console. Nobody gets that. Nobody gets that a hardware device that cannot be upgraded should not be compared to a hardware device that can be tuned and upgraded to go further than the standard hardware that is in a console. Nobody gets this for some reason. Okay. I mean, some of y'all get it, some of y'all don't. But anyway, I digress. Let's get to the topic at hand. Okay, that's another video for another day. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on here. All right. First of all you people that are fanboying, Xbox fanboys attacking PlayStation, PlayStation fanboys attacking Xbox, the whole fanboy thing. Usually when people are fanboys, now I don't mean to really get into it this way, but I got to be honest. Usually when people are fanboys, they lack the knowledge and understanding to understand why it's actually pretty stupid to pick one piece of tech over the other. It's just tech. And, sometimes Sony's going to do things that you wish you had on Xbox. And sometimes Xbox is going to do things you wish you had on PlayStation. It's just how it's going to be. So for you to win in this situation, you really just need to play what you like and don't worry about what console it's on or what platform it's on, really. But at the end of the day, you're going to have fanboys. Okay, so let's talk about this situation. The original PS4 had an HDR update. Now, a lot of people are wondering how could it support HDR due to the fact that HDR has to be on 2.0 HDMI ports and should be running alongside 4K. However, what you guys don't realize is this is HDR10 that you were talking about. HDR10 is what's going to be in the Xbox Scorpio, and it's what's going to be in the PS4 Pro. HDR has more iterations of it than HDR10, and HDR10 stands for HDR 10-bit color panels, and HDR Dolby Vision is for 12-bit color panels. A lot of people don't understand what this HDR thing is, and they really need to do a lot of extensive homework before they should start speaking about what is capable of HDR. Now, the HDR that we are seeing on the original PS4, I'm pretty sure it's probably entry-level HDR, and it will support HDR 8-bit for people who have 8-bit panels, because most people who have 4K TVs who didn't upgrade in the last maybe year and a half have an 8-bit color panel. And if you have an 8-bit color panel, you're not going to really want to get a PlayStation Pro or Scorpio, because you're not going to get the benefits of HDR, because you need to have what's called a 10-bit color panel, and you need to have something else called wide color gamut. And pretty much what this is the ability to produce brighter colors, giving your visuals more detail. So, of course, the original PlayStation 4 has HDR, but people are saying it's not HDR because it's not HDR10, which, of course, it's not HDR10. Of course, it's not, because HDR10 has to be running alongside 4K. So the PlayStation 4 is not pushing 4K, so it doesn't have HDR10. However, that doesn't mean it doesn't have HDR. It's more than likely going to be a shorter form of HDR, where and let me explain this to people too, is a lot of people who don't know this are talking. If you don't have an HDR TV, don't speak on this. Now, just to let you guys know, most TVs that have HDR10, and anybody with a 10-bit HDR approved, or should I say certified TV, that's it's up to the standards for certification for HDR. If you have one of these TVs, it can force HDR quality on a non-HDR picture. Now, in order for you to get HDR through a console, you have to have these two things going hand in hand. And that's if the person who produces the game patches this in, or if newer games come out and decide to utilize this feature. But if the feature is allowed for the signal to bypass, you can get HDR on a non-4K image, believe it or not, guys. I know that's amazing. I know that you heard that it can be done, but it can be done if the signal is there. If this HDR signal is being able to be received through a 1.4 cable, which the HDMI port on the PlayStation 4 has been certified to be above a 1.4 standard. And this is why HDMI was actually allowed to be enabled on the PlayStation, for a lot of you guys who don't read and research. So the HDMI port on the back of your original PS4, for those of you who have one, is actually not standard 1.4 HDMI. It's actually above that. And that is the reason for the HDR update. Now, is it HDR10, which is what you're going to see on the Pro? Of course it is not. But this is the game that these people play. Hold on, let me turn my phone off. That's also my cue to get out of here. But that is, of course, the game that they play. This is for people who didn't upgrade to a Pro who want to have HDR. You're going to feel like you're getting HDR. Is it going to be the same HDR as the Pro? Of course not. Is it going to be standard HDR? Of course not. Is it going to be mediocre HDR? Of course so. But it is HDR. At least it's some kind of improvement to the visuals above the original PlayStation for those people who don't have it. So if you have an HDR10 TV, you can actually get HDR to show up on some of your pictures. And if the game is optimized to allow it, the signal can cross and you can get a form of HDR. Will it be up to the standards that people like, or on 4K PC? No, of course not. But yes, it does have HDR. So people can stop saying that it's fake. It's not the standard HDR or the HDR that everybody's going to be using. It's not going to be Dolby Digital. A lot of people with standard HDR 10-bit TVs can't even use Dolby Vision on their TV because it's for 12-bit panels. And it runs on those 10-bit panels, but it's not meant for that. So it's the same story. It's the same story. So at the end of the day, guys, the original PS4 does have HDR. It's just not the HDR that people are probably going to be looking for. So stop saying it doesn't have HDR. It's the type of HDR that most game companies probably won't use and develop for, because why are they going to waste their time developing for that when they could develop for HDR for future games and cross platforms? Remember, the Scorpio's coming out. They're going to want to be able to pull all that stuff over. So I'm sure they're not going to go and make HDR for PlayStation and then make HDR for PlayStation Pro. They're just going to make HDR and call it a day. Probably find a way to get it to shrink down for the original PlayStation. But anyway, hopefully this answers any questions. If you guys got any questions for me, leave it in the comment section. The correction police out there, get in the comments, correct me, tell me that I'm lying, tell me that I'm wrong, tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's talk about it. Spread this information and get in the comments, man. Let me know, man, because I know some of you guys are gonna see you don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, and it's not a third. And now, before you do that, make sure you come with the facts, because it's all facts on my plate. This is something that I did research, and this is something that I do know what I'm talking about. So yeah, correct me if you like, let me know what you think. And yeah, of course the HDR is shit. So we're not going to entertain the fact that it's real HDR. It's not HDR 10, then it's not really something you want to be checking for or wasting money on. But I'm out of here. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Peace.